Hello everyone, this is Sidekick Jason here again with a very special guest, Mike O'Donnell, the original co-composer for the Thomas and Friends television series.
Hi Jason, hi all you Thomas fans out there in the fandom.
Mike has just released the Engine Themes Volume 2 CD featuring 8 tracks, including a completely original theme, re-recordings of old favorites, and some special surprises. These tracks are exclusive to this CD. You won't find these anywhere else on the internet. Take a moment, pause the video, and get yourself a CD. You won't want to miss these new tracks. All right, Mike, let's begin the Q&A. These first couple of questions relate particularly to the new CD release. Can you tell us the track list for this new CD?
Yep. Well, track number 1 is Peter's theme. That was a track I started to create, and I've really nearly finished it all. And Jason emailed me and told me about the sad passing of Peter. So I thought, what a great tribute to him, in actual fact, and all Thomas fans who are no longer with us. It'd be nice to, name it after him. So that's how that came about, and I hope you like it. I'm sure Peter will. Track 2 is Gordon's theme. It was just one that a lot of people have asked to hear, so I decided to dive in and do it, and I think it's turned out quite well. It is Gordon's theme, pastoral orchestral, if you like. The next one is Salty. Salty is one of my favourite little themes. It's only like 30 seconds long, so I lengthened it quite a lot based on the song Salty. So I think you'll like that one as well. Another favourite of mine was, which didn't get much of an airing at all, was Spencer's theme. So I did Spencer's theme and added a little bit in the middle that wasn't there before because it needed extending. That's turned out quite well. Number 5 is Little Engines, the song with me singing, unfortunately. But I quite like this. I mean, I love this track, and it's just a good sing-along thing. So hope you like that as well. The next one is called Mavis Meets Rusty. So that's kind of obvious. Mavis's theme, and interspersed with Rusty in the middle of it, and then back out again to Mavis. The reason why I did that was because they're very similar tempos, the two, and they blend in well together, actually. The same thing with Henry's Night Train, which is the next track. That's the Night Train with some motifs of Henry's theme put in there. It just seemed to work well, and it's a nice little track there, I think. And last but not least, Let's Have a Race, Bertie. So this is the Let's Have a Race song, and you may not have realised, but Bertie's theme was never really in it. There was only little snippets of it, so I decided to plot Bertie's theme in the middle of the song and blend it all together. So I think that's a good little track listing, and hope you like it.
I'm very excited about it. So let's continue on with the questions that we had previously submitted to us. So we had about 600 questions in the Q&A announcement, and we went through a good chunk of them in the last Q&A. And so we're just going to continue through that list and try and get through as many as we can in this time frame. We probably won't get through them all again, but we will continue with the next CD release to keep answering questions, and hopefully all you fans who were able to submit questions, we hope to get to all of your questions by the end of this. Mike, during any of the later seasons, seasons 2 through 7 during production, was there any discussion of updating or changing the opening theme?
Well, Junior and I wanted to re-record it, but Britt and David and all the powers that be said, no, don't touch it. So we weren't actually allowed to change it. Probably a good move, actually, but so we wanted to give it a crack, but they wouldn't entertain it at all. So that's what happened there.
So can you dive in a little bit deeper about what was it that, as time went on, that you weren't as fond of the original, and what would you have done with these new with the update if you'd been given that chance?
Well, in actual fact, the Thomas theme that I put on, you're still talking about the opening title theme, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. The Thomas version that I did on the first CD I quite like the feel of it, and I think we probably would have done it something very similar to that. It's obviously still Thomas's theme, but it's just done with more interesting instruments and things. It's not as kidsy as it used to be, and that's probably what we would have done. But Britt was adamant, you know, she wasn't going to change it at all. So, you know, which was great. But it lasted a long time, and it's still going on. I mean, they still play it now on various television programs. If they're talking about trains, they'll usually put that in. So it's good to have.
Next question. Why were the themes modified in later seasons? One particular example I can think of that fans are referring to is Percy's theme. If you compare the season 5 versus season 1, they're very different, and have season 5 has some different parts to it that weren't included. Was this to reflect the tone of the season, or were there other reasons why you and Junior decided to do this?
We tried to make, as we were going along series by series, we tried to make the music a little less kidsy, if you like. And because we were now using the Proteus modules and things, we could get reasonably good orchestral sounds, and it just seemed, although it's still Percy's theme, it's done in an orchestral way, and we were just trying to push the music. You can't stay the same through 10 years or 15 years, whatever it was. You've got to move on a bit, but you're using the same theme, but you're just bringing it up to date in a different way, without sounding too like you wouldn't do it like U2. It's still Thomas, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's all we did. We just tried to go down a slightly less kidsy route.
Yeah. Now you've talked about that in the past 2 questions about less kidsy. I'm curious, was this kind of a tone or theme overall that you saw as production went on through the years after season 1 to try and make the content less kidsy and more mature, I guess more family friendly for all audience? Is that something that you felt like was kind of a directive everyone had?
Exactly. I think that you know, one of the reasons why Thomas was so successful, it was that it appealed to parents and grandparents alike, and the kids, of course. And so we were just trying to make the music not so kidsy. And there's nothing wrong with kidsy music, but you know, you have to progress along the way. So that's why we were thinking along those lines. And you know, the filming got a bit more technical, and there was, you know, big explosions and things like that. So it's like filmatic. So we tried to do the same with the music.
Very interesting to hear. I know fans have some dislike for some of the later seasons that you weren't involved in because they tried to really tone that back down and make it kidsy again. So it's very interesting to hear that that was actually part of the production, was to try and make that appeal for all ages. So very, very interesting. I think that's why there is such a large fandom that is of older fans, because it does appeal to people of any age.
Absolutely. I think that's really important for any kids show. You know, if it's very basic early school music, then you know, the grandparents and parents get bored with that. They're not saying you can't watch it, but it doesn't have to appeal, the greater appeal. So,
yep.
I've just gone in. Yeah, go on, nothing important.
All right, next question. What was the process for creating the songs with lyrics, particularly around season 4 time? Did you get to decide what songs, what the songs would be about, or were the ideas directed to you guys from Britt and David? And what was the process of creating the lyrics for those songs?
I remember we were briefed by Britt and David. So say there was 6 songs to be recorded or written and recorded. They would brief us on each one of them, and it was more or less like, for example, You Can't Judge a Book by Its Cover was actually based on Terence's story. So we knew then it was Terence's theme somewhere's going to be in there, and the moral of the story is don't judge a book by its cover, and that's all we had. So then we went away and worked on the music pretty much always first, and then we did the lyrics to suit. So that's
okay.
Yeah. Well, it was never, I don't recall ever having the lyrics first, and certainly Britt and David never got involved in the lyrics. all they did was brief us on what they would like for us to do, as the basic skeleton of the idea.
Very interesting. This is obviously very different from other children's television music. Was there any particular inspiration for the island song? I know that particular theme, especially as a kid, it's not the traditional children's happy, bubbly. There's some. It's deeper there, and I remember as a kid thinking, I don't quite understand this. But can you explain a little bit about why you guys went taking the tone and the route that you guys did with such a beautiful song?
Well, we always, in fact, this alludes to a question further down the list, but was there any discussion to a musical for Thomas and Friends? The reason why the island song came up the way it did was that we always wanted to see Thomas as a stage show. We just thought it would have been fabulous. Mm-hmm. I don't know how they would have done it, but we just felt that was a good idea. And the island song would have been the openers. So you'd open with two starring children or whatever in their bedroom at night, and then maybe they were dreaming about the island or something. And that's what the island song was all about. It was just was a vehicle to get it onto the stage, but unfortunately it never did materialize.
That is so neat. That is awesome to hear. Really exciting.
I mean, it's no use saying to Brett and David, look, we think we should make a stage show out of this, because they'd have gone great. But I mean, we had to give them a fait accompli and give them the opening song, and then they might think, see, that's not a bad idea. But
so was the island song one of those where they came to you and said, we want a song about the island of Sodor, and you guys then created this, or was this you guys proposing?
No.
Show?
They wanted an island song, a song about the island of Sodor, and the way it was written and recorded, it just lends itself to a stage show. We always thought, and the lyrics and everything. So, but it's business. These things sometimes they don't work out. So, but that's what the island song is all about.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely beautiful. One of my favorites.
Jason.
Did you and Junior have any say in which clips from the episodes were used in the music videos? When you guys wrote certain lyrics, was it like, we want to have this scene be what's visually aligned with that?
No. What would happen was we inevitably we'd have finished work on the series. That's the first thing. That was the priority anyway. And then Britt and David would sort of commission these half a dozen or 8 songs to be written, and we'd go away and do it. And then what would happen is David Mitten and John Wright, who was the editor at the time, would piece together existing clips, in other words, lift from the series to make up a video for the song. In hindsight, it probably would have been cheaper and quicker in the end if we'd have filmed sections against the lyrics that we'd done, rather than trying to dig out little bits and pieces. It would have been nicer, but I think the priority was to get the series done first, and then the songs were just so it wasn't, we didn't get any say in any of that. That was what we were just brought into the editing suite.
Okay, that makes sense. So then how was it decided that a group of school children would actually sing the songs? What was kind of the background behind that?
Something, I can't remember when the decision, well, no, I do. It was from day one. It was Britt and David and Junior and I all agreed that this should be primarily children singing this stuff. They were, it's a kids show, it should be kids singing it. I mean, I know there was a few that we were on, in particular Don Fishing, but the kids didn't really, we tried it with the kids and it didn't work. It just didn't work. So Junior sang it, because he's got a much better voice than I have. So that was it really. It was just a conscious decision from the beginning. Unfortunately, as the years were going on, the boys were getting deeper and deeper and the girls were getting married, so we had to keep finding different child singers.
So as the seasons progressed, was it the same group then that was being used for seasons 4, 5, 6, or was it a different group each time?
Different group. The two constants were Joanna Wyatt, who did that for a living. She used to get kids together to do songs for adverts and what have you. She was an absolute genius. She now lives in Australia, actually. But so we called her, and she organised the kids and rehearsed with them. And there was another girl, Ellie Furman, and they were really talented the way they could sound like kids. You know, it was amazing. And they sort of like led the kids in the studio, and Junior and I were in the control room. And it just worked out really well. So they was all kind of blended together, but they were the stars of the show, I think.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Now, switching back for a second to just regular general themes, were there any themes that you wrote for maybe a specific character or setting that were in the end cuts repurposed or reused than what was originally intended? I know, for one example, the mail train theme appears in a couple of other locations in later series, that not necessarily at night.
No, but it's the mail train, so it's no. They might have been, they're well re-recorded many times, but you didn't use the mail train theme as somebody else's theme. That never happened, as far as I know. I don't remember it.
Okay.
Changed. I think it was always as written.
A lot of songs were written about specific characters' themes, such as Thomas's anthem, Toby, James the Really Splendid Engine, etc. Were there any other character-related songs planned that you guys were going to eventually do, such as Gordon or Henry or Edward?
No. It was literally, we were given the song, not the song titles, but the idea for the song. You know, this is what this song's going to be about. And then we would go away and do it. Gordon was never really lent itself to a song. You know, there is a big difference between a song and a theme tune. You can manipulate some of them, but I really don't think Gordon would have worked as a song. But it never happened anyway. So no, they were never repurposed or anything like that.
Okay. This next question, you've kind of talked about it before. How has the composition process evolved for you over the years, from composing season 1 music until now with the current CDs that you do? What things have changed and what things have actually stayed the same for you?
Well, again, it's like we deliberately tried to make the later seasons less kidsy. We dropped a lot of the shushing noises and things like that, not because we didn't like them, because it wasn't progressing enough, and it moved over to a bit more orchestral stuff because of the new equipment we had. That's the only reason. I mean, I think, when did we start? Thomas 84 and finished in 2003, so it's like 20 odd years. You know, you can't keep singing this, you can't keep doing the same stuff with a Lindrum. You know, people would get bored. We'd get bored. Well, so it's much better to just progress as everything else would progress.
Makes sense. One fan asked in particular, why did you and Junior stop using the LM1 percussion sounds after season 3?
Well, there you go. That's the same answer, really, isn't it? It just in the early days, the LM1 was the only one you could use. It was the only one we had. But as things progressed and you started getting involved in MIDI and all the rest of it, the instruments were getting so much better. And you know, we did. In fact, we didn't use the LM1. You're right, after Series 3, because it just got outdated. It just sounded like the LM1 to us. It didn't sound right, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So with the changes that happened over time, was there a particular direction or style for the show, not necessarily with the music that you composed, that you wish they would have stuck more with? For example, the first 4 seasons are tied closer to the Railway series books, and then season 5 has a bit of a darker, more daring style with some of its story plots, whereas season 6 and 7 are generally more simplistic and a little more lighthearted. was there a particular style that you particularly liked composing music for and wish the series had just stuck with in general? Or did you kind of like a little bit of everything?
We liked the way it was going with storyline. Again, it was coming away from being too kidsy, and the storylines and the filming was as well. So we all kind of progressed together. And it just wasn't the music that changed, it was everything that changed. And of course, don't forget, the Reverend only wrote, I don't know how many books he wrote, but I know Britt and David took over series 5, that got a lot darker. You're right, 6 and 7, absolutely. It was just changing, it was just all evolving, that was it.
Okay. Now, is it true that you and Junior were the voices for the laughing, troublesome trucks? And if so, is there a way to distinguish which laugh is particularly yours?
Well, the troublesome trucks laughing was mainly Junior, because I was in the studio laughing my trousers off. But so how we did it was we just went in the studio. He went in the studio. Both of us went at some point. Went in the studio and recorded it at a higher speed. No, a lower speed. That's right. Recorded at a lower speed. Played it back at normal speed, so we sounded like Petit Train. And that's how it was done. And we didn't know it was going to be used that much actually. It was plopped in all over the place.
That's really funny. Well, it's become so iconic, so that's amazing.
Yeah. You can't tell who's doing what, though. I mean, I know, but I mean, you couldn't describe it. It's just, it just worked well at the time, I thought.
Okay, so this question you touched on a little bit earlier. Was there ever any discussion to do a musical for Thomas and Friends?
We wanted to do it, but the powers that be, it never got around to it. So there was never a discussion about it, really. It never saw the light of day. Unfortunately, it would have been a great on ice thing as well. There could have been so many outlets for it, but I don't know if they're doing that now. I don't think they are they?
They did an on-stage show at one point during the series run, but I don't think that there's actually any full recordings of it, and so I think some of those tracks are lost to time. Yeah. And people aren't aware of what they are. So that would be something interesting. I'll dig around and find out more about that. That's not something I've looked too far into. If you guys had been given the green light to move forward with that, what would you guys like to have done with it? Where would you like to have taken this? Because I think what you said with the Island song as an opening is absolutely beautiful, stunning. Where would you like to have gone?
Well, I mean, it's just that's where the script writers come in, and the people who are actually going to decide how to visually do it. I mean, the music, just, we'd have written anything that they wanted us to write for the show, but we just thought that the Island song would have been a great opener. But and then they go on to the story from there. So we don't get paid for writing stories, unfortunately, but there are professionals that do that. So, that's it never got off the ground. So I don't know where we'd have taken it. It depends where the script writers would have taken it, really.
Interesting. Well, I wish they would have pursued it, because knowing what you guys have created and what you wanted to do with the Island song, I think it would have been an absolute hit. So such a shame.
I think it would have been. I mean, it wouldn't have gone off the island. It wouldn't have turned into something like the new stuff where they go all over the world. It would have been specifically on the island. I don't think Britt and David would have taken it anywhere else.
Makes sense. Okay. Now, were you and Junior ever in any discussions to compose the score for the Magic Railroad movie?
No. It's Hollywood. They wanted, and the people who were putting the money up wanted a known Hollywood film composer. And that's all there is to it. We never asked to get involved in it at all. The only thing they did want, they needed to get permission from us to use some of the songs. So that was great hearing Ann's version of the songs done with a real orchestra. Brilliant. But no, we were never involved in that, I'm afraid.
Okay. Interesting. Diving back into the songs a bit, do you know particularly why the songs That's What Friends Are For and Rules and Regulations never received their own sing-along music videos? They were never formally released.
Yeah, I mean, That's What Friends Are For was a bit melancholy and all the rest of it. I mean, I love that song, but it wasn't really, and Rules and Regulations as well. They didn't fit in with the Thomas formula, if you like. They were a bit off the wall. They did do videos for them, didn't they? Yeah, they must have done. They did do videos for them, but they were never really released, I don't think. But, yeah, I mean, they just didn't, they were surplus to requirements, if you like. They didn't really think it was that good. But in hindsight, I think they worked fine.
Yeah. Now these two songs in particular, were these composed alongside season 4, season 5, or where did they kind of fit in the timeline? Do you remember?
Okay, let me have a think about this. That's What Friends Are For was written first. Rules and Regulations were written second. So I think it would have been. It certainly wasn't the first batch of songs, was it? Along with the Island song. No, it must have been the second set, which would have been Series 5 songs, if you like.
Okay.
Around about that period, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. There's rumors circulating that at one point you and Junior had actually begun writing music for season 8 of the series. Is that true?
Well, they hadn't sorted our contracts out, but we knew they were filming season 8. So we started to think about songs in particular, I think, for it. But just in the planning stage, we never actually sat down and recorded anything. It all went rotten after that. So no, this is a quick answer. We had started planning stuff, but nothing was. The contracts weren't signed, so we didn't really get stuck in.
Yeah, makes sense. So with now season 8, they obviously had a very huge change with the tone of the series and everything, and they changed the opening theme. Was there plans that you were aware of to change that opening theme before they had decided on your guys' contract? Was that something that the rebrand of the show, were you guys aware of that already?
No. When we parted ways, they must have already had it done. I think they're not daft, these people. They wanted an insurance policy, so they probably had the theme already done in case we couldn't agree to the contracts, which is obviously what happened. But we didn't know at the time. We didn't know until after it was done.
Okay. Now, would you and Junior have kept composing the music for the show for season 8 and beyond if your contracts hadn't expired?
I think so. There was no reason not to. I mean, we were enjoying it. It was good fun. But I remember being called up to a meeting at HIT, and they were talking to us about the new ideas they were having with flying down from the sky and all the rest of it. And it was changing dramatically. We knew that. And I think we had an inkling that they probably would have wanted all different people involved. I mean, David didn't do it, did he? He wasn't not involved. No. So I think all the old crew were kind of left behind at that point, which is progress. That's what you want to call it. It's up to the powers that be,
Yeah, makes sense. Well, in my personal opinion, what came after was nowhere near the quality of what was before, but that's just me. And I know most of the fans think the same. But
yeah, I know, but as I said, a 5-year-old doesn't have any point of reference. They would look at the shows that we did, and they think, what are we doing? This isn't right. This isn't Thomas, because they don't know it. It's like there is no. They don't have any history. They weren't born then. So I mean, it's for them. The new stuff is current. That's what they're looking at. So,
Okay. Well, I think we've ran out of time. We got through quite a few questions here, and we've got plenty more that we can go through next time. So, Mike, really appreciate having you again. super excited to listen to the new CD. I'm excited to get my own personal copy. So if you haven't had a chance yet, go down the link below. Go buy yourself one. You're not going to be able to hear these themes anywhere else. They're not going to be posted on YouTube or Twitter or anywhere. So go get yourself a CD so you can enjoy these themes from the original Thomas and Friends composer. So, all right, we'll see you guys all later.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. See you soon.